Hi worshipers, this is Jared, and today we're going to be learning a little bit more about one of my favorite hymns, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Let's get to it. Alright, this one's a winner. We're geared up, ready to go. Now I know that on Sundays we sing a lot of hymns and we sing spiritual songs and worship songs, but very rarely do we ever get the opportunity to look beyond the text that we're presented with and really think deeply about the writer or the history behind the hymn or the worship song, whatever the case is. And so that's part of the reason why I'm making some of these videos, is just to give us a little bit of insight into the process or the story behind some of our most favorite Christian songs. And today we're going to be learning a little bit more about Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing, which is on my top 10 list as far as hymns are concerned. Just a caveat, a lot of the conversation stuff that I kind of inject into this story is just for dramatization. I don't really know what he said in some of these conversations. Some of it's just anecdotes about different sources that I've read. The core is still the truth. The story is going to be just as relevant to you and just as impactful. A story about what God can do with any of us, even you, even me. Before we go any further, I'd just like to ask that if you've watched some of my previous videos to hit that subscribe button and maybe like this video at the end if you actually did like it. Subscribing really helps me out and know how many people are enjoying what I do, and of course it helps you out, especially if you hit that little bell icon. It'll notify you every time I have a new video that comes out here on YouTube. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button. So let's get to it. There was a guy named Robert Robinson who lived in the 1700s. And as a boy, he was headstrong and a complete troublemaker and a cut-up. And it only got worse when his father died as a child, especially for his mother. To try and inject some stability into his life, some structure, maybe some discipline, she sent him off at the age of 14 for an apprenticeship in England. Now, as you might imagine, and as I imagined how that might go, it didn't go well. Things got even worse for the young man, or at least for his mentors. He became even more of a troublemaker. And what's more, he gained some followers and created for himself a group of troublemakers that followed him around. When he was 17, Robert took his gang to an open-air revival service, and it was said that a really famous preacher at the time, Methodist preacher, named George Whitefield, was going to be preaching. Come on guys, let's go down and laugh at the poor Methodist preacher. But something happened that Robert wasn't exactly anticipating. After hearing the sermon and the message that night, he had a change of heart. It moved him deeply, and it made him rethink his life and what he was doing with it. Nearly 3 years after hearing that sermon, a 20-year-old Robert Robinson made his peace with God and found full, free forgiveness through the precious blood of Jesus Christ. What a testimony. Soon after, he joined a Methodist church, and he felt called to preach. So, the self-taught Robinson was appointed by John Wesley himself as the, let's get this right, Calvinist Methodist Chapel in Norfolk, England. It was there to accompany his sermon for Pentecost Sunday in 1858. He penned the words to this hymn, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. It was the 3-year anniversary of his conversion. Now the first stanza is all about praise and adoration. It's perfect for the occasion of Pentecost Sunday. But the second two stanzas are really, in my opinion, more of a spiritual autobiography of sorts. You can really hear it in lines, and I'll recite the whole thing here in a second, but you can really hear it in lines like, I think it's the second stanza, "Oh, to grace, how great a debtor, daily I'm constrained to be," right? It's really more introspective and almost autobiographical, in nature. So let's listen to this. The text that Robert Robinson penned all those years ago. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy, never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melody sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount, I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I'm come, and I hope, by thy good pleasure, safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, he, to rescue me from danger, interposed his precious blood. Oh, to grace how great a debtor, daily I'm constrained to be. Let that grace now like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. This just goes to show you how God works in such mysterious ways sometimes. It's a great reminder for me that God can use anyone for his purposes, and he might just have a plan in store for your life. You never know. His plans are often ones that we could never expect or even think or dream of in the moment. But it's also a reminder that we are a work in progress. We're not through yet. If you're living and breathing, there's still time for you to have a story by God's grace. And that story is going to be awesome. Well, that's it for this video, but before you click on to the next one, why don't you take 5 seconds and go ahead in the comments below and just say hello, say hi. I usually respond to the comments. I have a bad habit of that is, 1 a.m. or 1 p.m., right? I'm looking at those comments and I respond almost immediately to most of them, as long as I'm not eating or sleeping, right? Tell me what your favorite hymn, Christian song is. Maybe it's praise and worship. And if it has a great story that needs telling, then I might do it on the next hymn history that we do. I think maybe I want to do a contemporary Christian song. So it doesn't necessarily need to even be congregational hymn or anything like that. Just a Christian song that you think is your favorite or that you think has an awesome story that needs telling. All right, that's all for now, and go in peace.